Eric Zane Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures each and every day of the work week. And we have begun again anew as we are less than 2 weeks away from the wedding. Jacqueline, Justin. Question was asked to me by my lovely wife. Is your speech done? And I said, it's been done. She says, did you write it? I go, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I wrote it. You know, I wrote that speech messing around town. And I go, however, when I write it, I am not physically picking up a pen and writing words down or typing it. I know what I want to say, and I've practiced it. You practiced it. I go, yeah, I actually spoke it out loud. It's rehearsal. And she's like, okay. I go, what do you mean, okay? Well, I mean, most people like write it down. I go, I'm a little different. I know the general things I want to say. And then I just talk about them. Why would you, for someone who speaks on average 3 hours a day, every day, why would you think that I would not be able to pull off a 5-minute speech? There's not much in the world that I am good at. It's 1,000,000% true. But I can clearly that's a hilarious thing because while I'm about to brag about my abilities, I'm stuttering and stammering like Rob G, Blue State Rob the other day on the show. Hold on. Hey, Daisy. No, do not. I don't want to. Look at, she thought I was going to hit her. Hey, stop. No, don't do that. I'm not going to smack you. Don't lick Bruce. Okay? She's making you think that I beat the shit out of her because I just approached her and she went, oh, no, don't hit me. I can absolutely pull off a few minutes of speaking. All right. So, yeah, I got this. The flower bill was paid. I think there's one more big bill due, and that is the videographer. And outside of that, then I think I'm free and clear. I've flushed that. Ryan asks, does she want to, I guess you're writing proof of speech? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that extreme. She can't doubt me. I have this down. I'm a little excited because I think there's some challenges and because I have some funny moments in it. I think you have to do that, and then you have to acknowledge people and certain things like that. There is a method to the madness, but all I have in my brain is a template of it. Getting requests for recordings. Now, a recording will be made, but I don't know if it's going to be public. We shall see. I don't know if I want to do that. All right. So glad that you are here. We are in the Baldwin Ace Hardware Fear Bunker Studio. Baldwin Ace Hardware, a beacon of DIY awesomeness in the Northland. Now, this weekend, for part of it, it was horrible. It was windy and rainy. People were losing power. It was a kind of a disaster. It wasn't like it was like freezing or anything like that, but it was chillier. All right. We're really getting into that change of seasons thing here. But that didn't stop some psychopath, all right, who had a dog that gave birth to a litter of puppies. Now, I just want to tell you in advance that everything is fine and everything is going to work out. But over the weekend, a sheriff's deputy where I live in beautiful Ottawa County was driving down the road and he sees a box. And something compelled this guy to pull over. And he looks at what's in the box. Puppies. Soaking wet, freezing, hypothermed, bad. A box full of a litter of puppies. I think 8 puppies. Some sick son of a bitch. Turns out that it's okay. They're all fine. You've heard the worst of the story, Amanda. That is the worst part of the story. But some sick son of a bitch decided that this is how. Now, when you have dogs here in most places, you can surrender them to places like Harbor Humane. So the lady who runs Harbor Humane, you've seen her at one point in time on this show, Allison. So she sends me a message. She goes, "You won't believe this. Some sicko just decided to abandon 8 puppies in a box." Puppies are fine. As we speak, they are being snuggled. 2 of them were a little bit more in worse shape than the other ones, but they're going to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, get a load of box of puppies. Oh, my God. That is picture number 1 of many that I have from box of puppies. No, they are not in my house right now. Here they are on the night that they were procured, or maybe the next day. I don't know. Here they are getting the kit. Look at box of puppies. Wow. They look to be some type of shepherd mixes, from what I'm told. I reached out to Allison from Harbor Humane today, and I said, well, hold on a second. Let me back up. This is the first thing she wrote. "Hey, Eric, thought you'd want to know this story. Someone left a box of puppies out in that storm last night north of Holland, Michigan. Was recovered by an Ottawa County Sheriff's deputy and brought out to Harbor Humane. They were very cold and wet. One of them is still in kind of rough shape, but hopefully he will pull through. Crazy shit. I can't believe someone would do that, but I'm glad they are safe. They are only about 4 weeks old. Not sure what they are. Fluffy little creatures, maybe shepherd mixes. We shall see what they grow into." There is a special place in hell for someone to do something like this. My God. Today I was like, I need to see more puppies. They have been warmed up, obviously, cleaned up. They are all in foster care. Okay, here's 2 of the puppies. You got black eyes, black fur. It's just a little Charlie. This dog is called Charlie Murphy right here. Darkness. And then you have this one here with the brown with the little tan feet going, but the ice blue eyes. This dog is called Aaron Carter. This is Aaron Carter, sound asleep, in memory of the great performer who passed over the weekend. More on that later on. Aaron Carter here. Look at that. It looks like the eyes of you remember in Game of Thrones when the dog became one of the walkers or whatever? I think that happened. Didn't that happen? I don't know. It's like a walker dog from Game of Thrones. Look at that. Same one. Look at these little jelly bean feet, for fuck's sake. Come on. described by Allison as looking like baby bears. Oh, hello, baby. Hello, little Ewok face. Hello. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Look at this. Now, look, it is very easy, very, very easy to want to hate the person who did this. And they should be hated on. They should be shot, frankly. But this is I've said this before. Now, Harbor Humane right now is packed. They are loaded down with dogs, cats, puppies, kittens to begin with. All right, this is a no-kill facility. But they are in an extreme period of time where they need people to adopt out these animals. I'm going to talk to Allison later in the week about this exact thing. When something like this happens, it turns out to help get dogs adopted. So, yes, puppies were in a box. Yes, puppies were getting rained on and were freezing. And it's a little scary right now for one or two of them, but they will survive more than likely. In fact, what did she say specifically? Because I sent her a text this morning and I wrote, how are the puppies? And she said, I haven't gotten a morning update yet, but as of last night, everyone was doing great. The 6 out in regular foster care are getting all the snuggles. The 2 that were more critical care cases that went home with a staff member as of yesterday, one was doing much better. The last one was a little dumpy, but had made improvements. So that's great news. But when something like this happens, box of puppies, immediately people are going to reach out to the puppy box and say, can I get one of the dogs in the puppy box? Now, you might. I don't know how that works. But that's going to draw a lot of attention. But Harbor Humane did talk about this on their social media. And you see Fox 17, local TV station, is talking about Harbor Humane caring for puppies dropped on roadside during storm. So that's huge. That means that they're talking about it. And that means that this story is being publicized and more people are finding out about it. To adopt one of these puppies, Harbor Humane encourages people to keep an eye on their website where the puppies will eventually be listed. And over 100 other wonderful dogs are ready for adoption. Harbor Humane also included this statement to the person who decided to leave the puppies on 120th Avenue and to anyone else facing the same predicament, stressing that a better option is always available. It breaks our heart that things happen this way. Had they reached out to Harbor, we would have been more than willing to help. This dangerous situation could have been avoided. Please remember, Harbor is always there for the community as a resource. We're just a phone call or a message away. We never want to see any animal abandoned and truly will never turn away a person or pet in a real emergency, even when we are bursting at the seams. Signed, Harbor Humane. You hear that? But since you did do that, if anyone in the community or within the sound of my voice is aware of who did this, would you please punch them in the face? My God. Oh, it's a good point. Amanda writes, remind everybody, though, that puppies are forever and not just for Christmas. You can't just do it because you're struck with emotion, And that she says, I actually feel sorry for the mama dog. Yeah, how about the mama dog? The puppy's 4 weeks old, taken from her. Jesus. And it is a felony to do that to an animal. Corey writes, let's kill them, and then writes, it was probably Dean. Yeah, probably. All right. So that was just an unbelievable story. Incredible. Closer to home, it was a big weekend. 4, I promised you I was going to do this, and I did do it. Chili. I went with steak as opposed to ground beef. We changed it up and cubed the Delmonico steak. Small cubes. To cut it, you might want to freeze it a little. That is the only thing different. There's 2 things I did differently. I did the Delmonico steak and then very finely chopped green pepper. And then you brown the steak and an entire white onion chopped fine. And then the entire green pepper chopped fine. You cook that all up, and then you add it to the crock pot. It got rave reviews again. The question was asked, who is eating all the practice chili? It was consumed by 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 family members. Gone in a day. Just rapidly. Took 1 day. Absolutely great. Cooked it on Friday. Put it in the fridge. Brought it out. And slow cooked it again for several hours. First on high. Drop it down to low. Stirry. Put it on warm. Let's go. Megan says Irvine's is always happy to taste test. No. $500 minimum. That's how much it costs. I had someone reach out to me and say, here is a chili cook-off for you to enter. But it was there's a local place that sells like snowmobiles and ATVs and shit. And, hey, they're having a chili cook-off. And I'm like, yeah, but this is for the employees only. And then you got to go in and buy a ticket to taste. I don't work at the place, so you might want to read. As of right now, the only thing I have is about 11 months from now. The chili cook-off at LMCU Ballpark. But I am excited about it, and I will continue to tinker with the recipe for you. All right. So that was a big part of the weekend here. Football over the weekend. Boy, where to begin? Let's start with the fact that fantasy football was a disaster for your old pal Eric Zane. 2 things happened. In fantasy football this year, this past week, there was 2 quarterbacks on the opposite sides of the spectrum. And they were both in my matchup. I had the quarterback that was on the shitty side. And my opponent, that would be Chris in Minnesota, he had the quarterback that was on the exceptional side. The quarterback I'm talking about on the exceptional side is for the Chicago Bears. His name's Justin Fields. Now, his average points per week is 17.81. But that fucker hung up 42.72 points in the Bears' loss to Miami somehow. Miami's pretty good. So 42.72 points. My God, that's tough to deal with. Add to that's Stephon Diggs, my receiver, my big-time receiver, only got 14.30 points. The Bills lose to the Jets. Oh, no. And Aaron Rodgers, Jesus, that's my quarterback. Oh, no, the Packers come into the game against the Lions at 3-5. Rodgers threw 3 picks in the game. They still had a chance to win. Doesn't matter. Who gives a shit who wins or loses the game at this point? The Lions ended up winning it somehow. I think it was 22-19. My God, and Rodgers only registers 16.64 points. So the Pack suck. And it was bittersweet for me because I wanted Rodgers to do well, but I still want the Lions to win. So I'm glad the Lions won. In fact, it just sucks, though, that they win after starting out the year 1-6. But I guess if you're going to do anything right, you got to start winning. So they win the game. That's great. But to see Aaron Rodgers leaving the field with mope face was fucking great. Because I can't stand Aaron Rodgers. He's a fucking asshole. It makes me happy to see Aaron Rodgers walking off the field with mope face. It's really sweet. He's such a cock. God. So that is great. Let's see. We have a comment from Aram about chili. Says, I don't know why he's practicing. His recipe in its current form is illegal for competition purposes. What do you mean? Wouldn't surprise me if you would say something vague and weird like that after the fucking oddball conversation I had with you on the Patreon on Friday. If you go back and listen to the Patreon last Friday, I had Aram on, and, well, first of all, more than one person on the Patreon yesterday, on Friday, made little sense. Blue State Rob was the first person, I think, that I had on who was under the influence of some type of narcotics. And then Aram gets on and was equally under the influence. I'm like, what is so difficult about this? Very confusing, weird flow to it, awkward, struggling for the messages to connect in any way. It was very, very difficult. I couldn't figure out why he was so flabbergasted with the facts of the case that we were discussing. But so that doesn't surprise me that you would say something vague and weird like that. But thank you for participating. All right, so the Lions now 2-6. Jesus, just sounds terrible. They got to start winning somewhere, so I guess that was it. And then college football, my God. First of all, Alabama and LSU Saturday night. Fuck. That game goes to overtime. Bama scores a touchdown, extra point. LSU. Then their turn. Some quarterback I've never heard of. He ran wild. He's super fast. He picks up a block. He scores the touchdown. So you're thinking, wow, here we go. It's got to be one of these long overtime games, you know? But fucking Brian Kelly, fake hillbilly Brian Kelly. Remember when he joined as the coach of LSU? And he was like, he had a fake accent, fake Southern accent. That motherfucker at home decides to go for two. And I'm like, oh my God. And he got it. After the game, he's like, yeah, just seemed like the right thing to do. Seemed like the right thing to do. And LSU punched it in for two. And Alabama is done on the year. Okay, they will not be in the playoffs. If they had won that game and then won the SEC championship, Alabama would be in with one loss. But they fucked that shit up. They're out. Georgia obliterates Tennessee. Oh, my God. Tennessee with their high-flying offense. And I forgot the coach, the quarterback's name. What's his name? TJ Hooker or some shit. Hooker, Hendon Hooker. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Tennessee got their ass handed to them. There's your goalpost. Stick them right up your ass. Georgia, it was remarkable in that game because that's one of those games where the crowd's so loud. And if the quarterback, TJ Hooker, if he goes, hike, the hiker, he can't hear it. So you have to get the ball snapped any way, shape, or form. So the quarterback will clap, and that will be enough sound, I guess, and then he'll hike the ball. Now, sometimes the quarterback will clap, and then they have, they'll count to themselves quietly, well, in their heads, 1, 2, and then hike it on 3. That's one way you can do it. But not everybody can pull that off. And the way Tennessee was doing it was, as soon as you clap, they figured out the ball's getting hiked, which is crazy. Typically, the quarterback can say, okay, on 2. So then he'd clap, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. And then the ball would be snapped. So you don't really know. And you mix that shit up so that you can figure out, keep the defense second guessing as to when the ball is actually going to be snapped. And you can do that too. If you're at home, you can just say on the 3rd hike, or hut. So Georgia has it figured out that if the quarterback TJ Hooker claps, it's getting snapped. So the defensive ends are starting their break as soon as that clap happens, and they got it down, and they started sacking the shit out of TJ Hooker. Oh, my God. It was so one-sided. It should have been 100-0. Georgia's really good, and they were 3 in the college football playoff rankings going into that game, and Tennessee was 1, and they're like, fuck that. So they went and beat the shit out of Tennessee. Okay, so right now, the only rankings that matter is the CFP, College Football Playoff Rankings. They come out every Tuesday. But if there's going to be any indication, the AP Top 25 is out right now, and Georgia's number 1. And Ohio State is number 2. Ohio State won at Northwestern. The weather was shitty, but they won. Not by a lot. Michigan was getting beat by fucking Rutgers at the half, but then they went crazy in the second half and beat the shit out of Rutgers. TCU started off slow, but then came back and beat the shit out of Texas Tech. Well, they didn't beat the shit out of them, but they won. So those 4 are undefeated. So that's your top 4 right now. Tennessee on the outside looking in, but that doesn't matter. They can still get in. Oregon can still get in. I think USC can still get in. They're 8th right now, but that's a long shot. LSU has 2 losses on the year. I don't think a 2-loss team is going to get into the college football playoffs. But in the SEC championship game, more than likely it will be LSU taking on Georgia. Alabama's out. They're in 10th. They're ranked 10th. They've lost 2 games on the year. Fuck Alabama. You're done. I guess technically UCLA, Mississippi, they all have 1 loss. Clemson gets they were 3rd coming into this week, but Notre Dame beat the shit out of Clemson. Clemson exposed. They drop all the way to 12. Fuck you, Clemson. Okay, here's the key. Michigan plays Ohio State. So you will have a 1-loss team. If TCU remains unbeaten, Tennessee wins out, Georgia wins out, then I think Tennessee will move into top 4. And either Michigan or Ohio State maybe will be out. I think if Ohio State loses, they might still be able to get in and supplant Tennessee. But I think if Michigan loses, I think Michigan will be out. And Tennessee will take their spot. And then the final 4 would be Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, and Tennessee. My God, I love this so much. It's fucking great. Amanda, how many times do I have to tell you? No one gives a shit about your stupid girls hockey talk. Wasn't it ugly enough the first time I beat the shit out of you for that on the chat? Oh, my God. How embarrassing for you. And then Maureen, don't forget Michigan State won this weekend. Yeah, no one cares. Why do you people do this to yourselves? That's it. I'm dropping the ban hammer. Yep. It's time. Maureen gets one for stupid Michigan State talk. Yeah, whatever. Did you see when Rutgers and Michigan were walking out of the stadium through the tunnel, like talking to each other? Stupid idiots, Spartans. And Amanda, no one on planet Earth, no one alive gives a shit about women's club hockey. What? The street football game by the neighborhood kids in my cul-de-sac draws more media attention than CMU club women's hockey? What? College hockey club. Oh, sit down and think about what you've done. Enjoy your 10 minutes of shitbag silence. Brandis says, it would be like me bringing up how my roller derby team did. Yeah, you would never do that. I mean, who gives a fuck? Shit. I think there's some type of mental illness to someone when they bring up something like Michigan State and the local girls hockey spirit club or whatever the fuck they are. What an awful, awful thing to bring up on such an important day. We have important shit to talk about. Box of puppies, Chili success, Aram not making any sense when he opens his mouth or writes a comment, failure on fantasy football, the Lions won, college football, and you're bringing up girls club hockey and Michigan State Spartan football. The two of you are awful. And if it hadn't been for idiot who threw box of puppies out into the rain, you would be very much both considered for assholes of the day. Probably the nod going to Amanda because she is such a nemesis of mine on the asshole of the day. Many, many times now she has won the award. You would win today if it hadn't been for a box of puppies, asshole. Holy shit. Ryan writes, yeah, they are real pieces of shit. Aram trying to win him, get back into my good graces, right? I can find out how our local county high school football team, if anyone wants to know. Corey writes, guys, the middle school soccer team won yesterday in my town. The fuck? And the interesting thing about Amanda is I spent significant time before rubbing her face into her own vagina after the last time she pulled this shit. Maybe she's crazy like a fox and she just likes me beating her up. Perhaps that could be the way. I'm not sure. Oh, fuck. Jesus. All right. Thank you if you're watching the show on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. But it's time to say goodbye. If you want the rest of the show live as it happens, you have to go to Twitch, twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live, as we are inching our way every day. Every day we get one or two more followers on Twitch. During the old Saint Gaslight saga, which is now almost 3 weeks old as of Wednesday, we were getting a ton of people signing up. I shouldn't say inching our way towards 1,000 because we're only at 911. So I'll say inching our way towards 925. If you want the full show uninterrupted, that is where you go. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. And I do not accept. I don't know how to do that, Eric Zane. I don't know Twitch. Yes, you do. If you know how to type and look for a website or download an app? Yes, you do. Either download the Twitch app and then just search Eric Zane Live, all one word, and that's it. Okay? You can get the show live every morning starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're on a computer, just go search twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. That's it. That's all you got to do. Subscribe, or I should say follow and subscribe. You can contribute on the comments and give us your local women's hockey scores. All right. Corey says, guys, the Cripples Only Wheelchair Basketball League in my town won the regional championship yesterday. Cripples Only Wheelchair Basketball League? I don't think that's appropriate. Cripples only.